Hello Cancer, welcome to your 2024 year ahead reading using the tarot. I have pulled a tarot card for each month of 2024 and I'm going to flesh it out by pulling a second card from another deck. When we see duplicating cards, when we see themes crossing over, that's going to really help to tie this reading together, and it's also great validation for spirit coming through, your highest self, a divine consciousness or an intelligent consciousness being here for this reading to deliver messages that are in the highest and best for you only. This is a great resource to check in with throughout the year, but I would still really love to hear your feedback as you watch it for the first time. But I recommend taking notes, even a keyword for some of the themes that are coming up month by month. If you're returning Cancer this year and you've watched these videos before, welcome back, and I hope you've had a great year. I was grinning like a Cheshire Cat pulling the cards for this reading. I was like, this looks amazing for Cancer. You may also notice that I look a little bit different, or a lot different this year. I actually I watched my Pisces reading, the one I did just for the collective, and I called this pregnancy to the exact month. So that was pretty cool. So that's why I'm saying it's a nice little resource to just move back to throughout the year, but let's just get into it anyway. Yeah, so like I said, this reading looks amazing for you. The Six of Cups is the card that's coming through for January, and this card is about connection, overall well-being, but these aren't just any old people that you're in touch with in the month of January. These are people from the past lives. These are soulmates. These are people that share a really deep understanding of you and have watched you grow and honored your growth and grown with you, sometimes grown apart, coming back together. Plenty of emotional deaths and rebirths in these relationships, but the one thing that really shows up to me is a true sense of love in this relationship and understanding. Could be friendship, siblings, it could be romantic. What could be happening for you in January, Cancer, is a visit from a friend, somebody coming through, not necessarily as a surprise visit, but somebody's coming to see you, you're going to visit a friend, you're going to be reuniting with somebody. I see a reunion on the cards for you for January, and it's a very special one indeed. This could look like somebody bringing you a gift or you gifting somebody else. It's a very wholesome and sweet start to the year of January with the month of January 2024. Let's have a look deeper into this card. The beginning of the year looks to be quite loving. This Six of Wands was at the bottom of the deck just as I stopped shuffling the first time around. It just could be an indicator that a background theme in the year ahead for you is quite a successful and victorious, and possibly more visibility on you and the work you're doing, or the kind of manifestation you have for yourself kind of is being seen a lot more. Here we have the Queen of Swords. Okay. So the relationship, like I said, plenty of death, rebirths in this relationship. Not that it's necessarily ups and downs, but there has been plenty of breakthrough in terms of growth in this relationship. The people have gone in their different directions, and that's why I sense there is some sort of a reunion happening where people are coming back together. These could be old school friends, these could be neighbors, cousins, relatives, but there's something about people having gone their separate ways for a time, and not necessarily with any kind of it's estrangement, possibly, however, for some, but it's more so that it's just the ebb and flow in life, and for whatever reason, everybody, or you at least, Cancer, feel like you're very much back in the flow, or back in the sort of unit, or back connected with people. Maybe you just feel more and more connected to yourself. For those of you who are looking for romance specifically, or to make more friends, or to connect with your soul tribe, or more like-minded spirits, kindred spirits, so to speak, that January and February look like a really good time to kind of open up to the blessing of love coming in. For those of you who are actually looking to have a child, or to become pregnant, or to invest in having a little furry friend, a companion, as in a pet, come into your world, this could be a really nice opening to the year to sort of just get into the frequency of opening up to that blessing being very possible for you. The other thing I would suggest is that it's a really good time for you to make friends at the beginning of the year, or just to basically your heart is wide open, and the kind of chakra around your heart is very like healthy at this time, not stagnant or anything. So the beginning of the year, before we get into a lot more financial abundance in for the next chapter, this is really like about setting a very beautiful, harmonious, loving tone to the beginning of the year. The Queen of Swords and the Six of Cups. It could be a feminine energy coming back into your life. It also could be a vision from the past, a vision from childhood. The Queen of Swords is very visionary, and she is really able to see with a great deal of foresight and clarity. And the way the Queen of Swords energy operates is with confidence but grace and kind of level-headedness. Perhaps you can see a situation from the past now through the lens of something that feels a bit more healing or a bit more mature on your part, or maybe you've noticed that people have grown up and people have kind of like maybe accepted certain things. Anyway, the Ace of Cups for February. This is actually a card about more love coming into your life, the opportunity for connection, the opportunity for certain relationships to either enter or to blossom into something that's more rich and full. If there's anybody out there that has been struggling with the healing of a broken heart, February looks like a very healing time altogether, where there's just a real sense of the outlook around your heart space kind of expanding and improving. The Six of Swords at the bottom of the deck. Note another six. So we see the Six of Cups, we saw the Six of Wands, and now the Six of Swords. Sixes is the number of kind of a love frequency in the tarot. It's kind of more harmonious and balanced and in a very flow state, and that's really nice. The Six of Swords also represents like moving on and healing. So I do think that some of you are going to be overcoming that heart situation where there's been grieving, and coming into, this is the start of the money talk. Money starting to really become a focus for the next few months in a big way, I think, for you, Cancer. So I'm very excited to get into that. But yeah, wrapping up the beginning of the first couple of months really just does seem to be a focus on your heart space, relationships, deepening connections, reunions, visits, friendship, and family, and expansion of your family goals, your personal life, and just overall happiness and well-being in your private life, your personal life. Now we're moving towards what seems to be the start of this trajectory of like bigger money moves. And I'm talking about like more than you've seen before, or more than you're accustomed to, maybe not ever in your life, but more than I think it's been, unless you've been in this rocking this King of Pentacles, which is a really abundant card. 10 of Pentacles for the month of March, 9 of Pentacles skipping forward to May with the Cancer Major Arcana, the Chariot, which is also a signature for success, progression, advancement, and kind of like leaps and bounds forward. So we're talking like quite an obvious level of material prosperity that's kind of coming into your world. What a great blessing. I hope you enjoy that. It's so well deserved for you. In April, the conjunction of Jupiter, the planet of expansion, is going to meet up with Uranus, which can be quite liberating, but often shocking, but often unpredictable, ultimately enlightening. And that's going to conjoin in the sign of Taurus, which is this little King of Pentacles right here. So what I want you to do, Cancer, is pull up your birth chart and look at where Taurus is in your birth chart. That's going to be where this Jupiterian, just, it's limitless how far that can go. And Uranus is just so unexpected at times, or so radical, and just such a breakthrough, paradigm shifting energy. So when those two celestial bodies align, we're going to be seeing a kind of like sky's the limit quality in the Taurus area of each of our charts. And it's an abundant quality too. So the sky is the limit. Coming up in April, the conjunction is on April 20th actually, but I have an idea that this is kind of building for you as Jupiter inches closer and closer to the planet Uranus, maybe even from February. Big money breakthroughs in February. So this is like loan approval. For some of you who are making content, writing, drafting, putting pen to paper, the Queen of Swords to me is very much focused on the throat chakra too. So makes sense. Your heart chakra is just wide open and the auric field around here is just expansive for you. So then the energy just can kind of rise in free flow, Kundalini style, to the throat chakra. So as your heart opens, as the conditions around forgiveness and healing and reconnection kind of expand for you, maybe that also clears up some of your creative juices and you're able to speak them out, or like to formulate your ideas and to kind of make money from what you think, your opinions, without being overly emotionally invested in your own opinions. That could be coming up, like all of these emotional cards with the Queen of Swords and the stubbornness of the King of Pentacles. The only warning there would be like, don't get overly emotionally attached to your ideas. Let them kind of flow in and out from you, but definitely share them. The world would love to hear it, I'm sure. The King of Pentacles is suggesting that there's more ways to make money, and in February, ways to make money come from something that you love deeply. And I mean, like, not just a little like kind of, you know, couple $100 coming here and there, like something quite solid, something quite steady. That's obviously nothing to be scoffed at, we'll take it, but there's something like very substantial which would like almost kind of like make your living doing this like full time. I'm seeing like a transition for a lot of you in February into full time doing something that you truly love and that is your heart's desire, and that will also supply a lot of sort of stability for the future for you. The King of Pentacles is really in a great position materially, and then the Ten of Pentacles in March. Okay, well, I believe that the Ten of Pentacles in March is a very big breakthrough in terms of finances for you, and it's also really a good omen for anybody who's in business, especially if you're kind of looking to it's business with family, it's business with a partner, it's business like with something that is quite established. And here we have the Strength card, closely followed by the Chariot card, which of course we're going to see in the next month. Okay, so something is really getting revved up here for you March into April. I will put the Chariot back in, but I want to leave him there for just a second. So the business plan, the business model, the structure, the collaboration, the money making thing, great. The something that all comes together and comes into your world related to money and success and business and material prosperity. It seems to be dominating the industry. It seems to be booming. It seems to have great strength behind it. And with the Strength card, I'm getting this like Leo energy. There's something about it being a little superior almost. So it seems like you've got the best of something to offer, to put out there, to exchange, or just to generate bigger wealth for yourself. Like, we're talking really, you know, a lot of wealth. The Ten of Swords does come through in the month of August. It's here creeping at the bottom of the deck now as well. It kind of comes out of nowhere as well. I don't see this as a usual Ten of Swords where there's been a situation building and building that you're ready to purge from. I feel like you might get an indication then, that makes sense, that in March that something is actually that you weren't really aware of. Like, the tens represent an end of a cycle. With this Ten of Pentacles, I feel like that's you're working so hard on this cycle and really hustling and grinding it out just to kind of eventually now like be able to live your life based on what you love and what you've been doing and what you feel strong and passionate about. For some it will be fitness, for some it will be something to do with their mind and their communication skills, for some it will be something to do with fashion and beauty and glamour. That's the Leo signature. Even something more celebrity could be coming through, but using your voice. And it might have been a big deal for you, Cancer, to project your voice and to like make it strong, but there's something really strengthening learning about what it is you're doing. At the same time, just because these Ten of Swords come through in this reading, there is something that is kind of like rearing its ugly head in a way that you kind of have been ignoring, but not like in a very conscious way. It just hasn't really been something you've had to deal with. So just watch out for something in the background that's starting to kind of like irritate you or those around you. Anyway, the success you're having in April, and it could align up with that Jupiter-Uranus conjunction on April 20th, or it could just be building all the way through. I think it's building from about maybe that eclipse on the 25th of March onwards, or possibly earlier in March. Something that you really wish to fulfill, or a goal, or a destination that you want to reach on your journey, and it's actually going to really start to take off and rapidly move forward. The double energy of the Chariot card tells me like it's full steam ahead in March into April, and in April I think that's when you really have this massive breakthrough. The money element has already come through, the grant, the loan, the investor has already approved it. Some of you have had long-term investments and they start to actually come into fruition more and more between February, March, and even into April. Because Taurus is the sign of material wealth and our money and our kind of resources on the earth, we could see like certain decentralized platforms, decentralized currencies, different kind of money exchanges, like, and raw materials being very lucrative, and also like quite like commodified, and like a bigger demand or a bigger expansion around that with the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. That could be something that's happening more on the mundane, but for some of you, you will have investments that have been more long-term in the works, and you might be seeing that's where there is like this real strength, or your investment is the dominant one of the market space. Strength card. Okay, let's look at the Chariot card for April. I didn't even really feel the need to bring up the eclipses for March and April, because you don't really look like you're phased by that eclipse season as much. Here's the Seven of Pentacles. So the eclipses in October might be something that's going to be a bit more impactful in your own chart, but there are an eclipse cycle that's taking place March 25th in the South Node Libra eclipse configuration, and on the 8th of April in Aries with the North Node. So we're thinking about where we're clearing karmic debris, and that might just be where that Ten of Swords was kind of cropping up in the background of March. You're kind of just getting aware of what's kind of ready to be cleared. I'm not saying that you do clear necessarily, but it's just an awareness around that, and it might come through a little bit later in the year. And then I suppose in April you really know, with the direction of the Chariot, with the direction that the Chariot is taking you in April, it really looks like it's going to be a labor for you, the Seven of Pentacles. Not overly difficult by any means. You might have to take some of that investment and that influx of cash or resources, time, allies, skills that developed in February and March, and just reinvest it, because we do move from the Ten of Pentacles to the Nine of Pentacles, both really prominent pentacle energies, which is our kind of earthly assets like money and things like that, and then we do dip in the Seven of Pentacles here. So that is a real start to the year is a lot about money, but we're also just talking about having a lot, making a small reinvestment, which brings us back down, but still higher than we've been in a while. So without going like this, we're kind of going always landing upwards and upwards. And that was something that came through as well, that like it's really important to not be too like I talked about the auric field around your heart space. Okay, it's nice, Cancer, not to be too focused only on maintaining this like really loving high frequency all the time, because to kind of allow that to process, like when we're on an upward spiral and our consciousness is raising, and you know, Earth's whole consciousness is raising at the moment. That's light coming through, photonic light. There being more light than ever on the Earth, so that's obviously going to really disrupt and cause turbulence and shine a light on the real shadow elements, and those two frequencies are finding it very hard to coexist at the moment with all the photonic light coming in, and that's probably why it's so jarring. But the other thing, like the astrology really supports that sort of shift in consciousness. Other things like just like it being so like humankind's, every individual's consciousness expanding at different rates, and a lot are like expanding like very, very with a lot of momentum. That's obviously going to shift things as well. So there's a whole host of reasons why the Earth consciousness is shifting, coming from like multiple sources and all different. It's interesting that they're all kind of bottlenecking at the same kind of inevitable, wonderful outcome for us all. But where I was going from that is, as your individual consciousness rises, it must dip, and it must be, we can't shame ourselves from the dip. We can't shame ourselves when we're in a lower state of consciousness. We're just basically letting our body, which is so dense, adjust to the expanding consciousness. So like that with your money, think of that as your money. You're not, when you reinvest, you go up and you're not plummeting at all. You're taking a dip to readjust so that you can rise up again. So sometimes you might feel in April, like, and even here with this 5 of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck, you might feel like that there is a dip. Interestingly, the 6 of Cups, which we saw in January, is right here behind that. So for some of you, the dip in your frequency where you kind of feel like, oh, I'm just not riding that high tidal wave anymore, I'm not on top. Some of that is actually not necessarily just linked to reinvestments you have to make, or sometimes you have to spend money to make money, or things just like, sometimes with the 7 of Pentacles, we're at that threshold where things have not fully broken through yet, but you've got good signs either side month by month to support that there is an overall rising of your sort of tide, with necessary dips. Now, some of it is not just about money. You just have to keep persevering and have patience is the message when it comes to your investments and the money thing and the progress of your goals and all of that. But with these cards at the bottom of the deck, there's actually something that's coming through that you know, the relationship is coming back together. We talked about that reunion. You might also just be feeling like then by April that certain people aren't in an energetic match to you anymore. And that is not easy for you to let go of. You are quite nostalgic, perhaps sentimental by nature, not to typecast you. But you do have a watery element to you. And you do have this kind of like, you know, there is a tendency to find it harder to let go when we have like a less detached outlook to the relationships in our life and our emotional world. Harder to detach from that as a watery sort of spirit. But it might be a relationship that you're finding it really hard to move on from, or a situation from your deep past that is kind of undercurrent upsetting you, and it's just, yeah, it's just there. Okay, so we'll just hold some space for that. So the 9 of Pentacles, I mean, like money, 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 really, like this is luxury, this is high flying, this is glamour and it's beauty and it's refinement and it's great taste. And it's a Virgo energy. Oh, and there we have it, the World card coming through. The World card also is coming up in June. So May and June are very, very aligned months of the year for the best. A Virgo could be coming through. I have the Hierophant or the Hermit at the bottom of the deck, but I also see great preparation for you. May and June, you're preparing for this sort of finale energy around something. This is like a very much climactic part of your entire year, where the sum of it all now is reaching this amazing crescendo where you've been building up and you can feel that sort of quality rising within you, where something is going to be shown perhaps to the world, or maybe you'll be seeing parts of the world which you've always kind of desired to do so. And you're not necessarily doing this on a budget, Cancer. I feel like this is going to be, if you're seeing the world, if you're exploring and things like that, this is going to be a real treat for you, because the 9 of Pentacles speaks to a very beautiful and refined, glamorous energy, like I said, but they have worked really hard for this, so they want to just treat themselves because you really deserve this. But the World card coming up double down for me like this in May and June from two different decks. Like, you really couldn't make it up. Like, we see the chariot repeat itself month to month, and then the world card. This is why I love using two decks in such a way. But the world card is the final card of the tarot, so it does represent the culmination and the perfect ending to something. This isn't the kind of ending where you lose your job all of a sudden, or guess what? Your whole life changes in the blink of an eye because the rug is pulled from under you. This is the kind of ending that you aspire to reach one day. This is the kind of graduation or ceremonial rite of passage, which really spells a lot of success. Typically, it's a long-term goal that has now been reached for you with flying colours, but it might have been something that you picked up only a month before, and there was a crunch time and you wanted to pass this test with flying colours. You wanted to showcase this to the world, and it had be just like received so well. But the world card energy, let's see, this is interesting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. For some of you, there might be a revelation actually about the expansion of something that you've been wanting to birth in your world. Like, you might be announcing that there's big news coming, or you might be announcing what that kind of unveiling is. But I really see May and June being linked in terms of both the world cards and a really successful completion of a goal. Let's look at June now. Jupiter moves into the sign of Gemini in the 26th or 27th of May, so we'll be spending a year. We've got another 6 coming through, the 6 of Pentacles. So now we've seen the 6 from each of the suits, and that would just tell me that, like, the year 2024 for you is a year of basically balance and not having to try too hard. Very much things just happening for you. So it is like just a kind of sit back and reap the rewards. Could be one way to look at it, but you do you. What I did want to say though, what was I going with just there a moment ago? Maybe it'll come to me. I don't know. Anyway, the world card. That's probably baby brain for you. I'm allowed to use that excuse now, even though I was always a space cadet. Let's go June with the world card, continuing the theme. Oh no, I remember Jupiter moving into Gemini, right? I just had to get back to the channel. 3 of Swords, interessant, and the Ace of Cups, which we see in February. Yeah, so there is this relationship that this is two things. It's either that something that, you know, had been worked through seemingly in January, February, everything was fine, back to normal, we're in a great place. That relationship possibly has a kind of karmic quality where you're actually with this person, be it a friend, a colleague, a relationship, a partner, a sibling, or a mother or father, likely. No, just kidding. Our family though, our biological family, are typically, we're going to find a karmic or two in there. And there's actually a quality of this particular relationship that is here to serve, both of you here to serve each other's evolutionary consciousness and help dissolve karma and help to complete the lessons that you came here to complete. And of course, on the other side of this realm, it's all love and it's overflowing Ace of Cups energy. But sometimes when we're here, we can really be in the nitty-gritty with these certain people where it's always kind of like contentious for a little while, and then it's chill, and then there's tension, and then it's thriving. It can represent those relationships that have that sort of more like have to work on it quality, or some sort of a roller coaster. They're not always the most comfortable, but there is actually a great deal of love behind them and a great amount of devotion behind them to each other's overall spiritual growth. So that's what's coming through. I kind of got the hint that in April and March, it's like, oh, they're getting under my fucking skin again. And then the 3 of Swords, it's like, right, here we go. Tale as old as time. The 3 of Swords, you know, yeah, they show their ass again, or you trigger them, they trigger you. You're not bringing out the best in each other. You really have to take a step back. The other thing that's possible is, and I will get back to Jupiter in Gemini, but the other thing that's possible, Cancer, is that your success story is bothering people at this point. I mean, sometimes people can get triggered around the concept of like money and success. Some people can get triggered when you are like really embodying a very authentic truth, and that can be so triggering for people. And especially if you're just like, no, I'm happy with everything and everyone, and like people are like, no, you must be mad at something, and you're like, no, I am riding my high wave. That's what I'm seeing. So that's the thing that comes through. It's like after a period of like clearly mounting success, like you have the investment, you can afford to do it, your product, your idea, your vision, your ethics is strong and it's forceful, and then you just get like May and June to be like this really tangible, obvious celebration of your success, and this is the success story in May and June. That might trigger in some people or a specific person a insecurity or a jealousy or a pettiness. This person seems to be struggling a little bit with their own mental health. So it's an invitation for greater compassion, but it is also an indication for you to honor your own boundaries and decide whether or not you want to be vulnerable with the person who isn't creating a necessarily safe space for you. The other thing that is possible here in May, as your success unfolds and kind of like takes new heights, the Three of Swords, you hear through the grapevine that somebody is like, did you hear, Cancer? They're getting too big for their britches, or like, I can't believe they're doing this, or I don't know, just being disrespectful. The Three of Swords, at its essence, I always say this when the Three of Swords comes up in a yearly reading, expect a few tears. For some, there'll be tears of joy, but the Three of Swords is crying for me. In a year ahead reading, it's like, okay, well, that's good. Hopefully we can cry at least once. The Three of Cups, moving into the second half of the year, and now Jupiter is fully in the sign of Gemini and will transit through Gemini until May of 2025. Now I ask you, Cancer, to look to your Gemini house in your chart. That is going to be the area of life that is going to begin to expand and to become more abundant, and to kind of because Gemini is quite more of a mentally stimulating energy. You might see kind of like routes for higher education or learning or research. You might have your mind expanding, connections expanding, and ideas and things like that. Whereas it had been in Taurus and will have that kind of beautiful crescendo effect of Jupiter and Uranus conjoining in Taurus before Jupiter ultimately leaves the sign of Taurus for like 14 years. And Taurus is a lot more like to do with like the tangible earthly assets and money and wealth. So that's like one area of life that has been expanding for you. Okay, so now let's look at the Three of Cups in the second half of the year. We're moving into July now. Things look different in the second half of July. I think you're continuing to celebrate in July, and you're sort of celebrating your wins still. You're still very much on an emotional high. Here we have the Hermit card. Okay, so we were seeing that Hermit a little earlier. The Page of Swords, and very interestingly, the Five of Cups at the bottom of the deck. The Five of Cups does come through with the eclipse in the month of October. So it's like, it's your intuition that's obviously doing this, right? Because it's every card that is about to come up peeps its way through at the bottom of the deck just a month or two before. So you're intuitively so on point all throughout the year. You have this prophetic kind of ability to see what's coming next for you, to see what you'll need to address, to see what you'll need to kind of call your attention to, and to see what basically, to proceed into the future in a sense, or to predict that this will be the next thing for you, the next cycle. Maybe you're getting really into astrology this year, where you can actually kind of look at an ephemeris and check the dates of what thematic cycles will be coming up for you next month. Maybe you are exploring kind of human sciences or things like that a little bit more, and that could be Jupiter in Gemini expanding your basically overall worldview and belief system and perspectives about the world around you, reality itself, and how you fit into all of that. And you kind of can see it all coming. year, month by month. You're not like, you know, not hyper focused on the future at all. You are still very present, but you know what, there's no fooling you this year. You'll kind of see it already, is what I'm thinking. So the Three of Cups and the Hermit card, yeah, so this could be just like a decompression time. So we start July on a real high, I think, of partying, of celebration, of it could be your birthday in July, of course, Cancer, and you know, you're just having a real blowout, or there could be some celebration of the milestones that have recently been reached, and it's kind of all just like wanting to still be on this high, but then after the high must come this kind of like just natural decompression, or sort of we have to process all kinds of emotions, not just the upsetting ones or the grieving ones. We have to also process the amazing highs that we've had as well. And the Hermit card then kind of says, all right, let's get early. Let me just see what we're like for time. Okay, not too bad. The Hermit, and I want to thank you so much for your time and energy, and I'll just stop my tracks right here, or stop myself in my tracks for a second and ask if you would maybe subscribe at this point, or let me know what you think so far in a comment, give me a like. That would be so nice. Treat me nice, okay? So the Hermit card is here to say, okay, now let's sort of get back to school energy coming in early for you. This is like, why not wait till, we're not waiting till the fall. We're going to get on track right now. And like, there is some sort of, by the end of July, you're like, I want to kind of like, not just kind of like, now you want to get serious again in a sense, or start making like necessary plans and preparations for what the next steps are for you, because there has been a definite successful culmination of a goal or an endeavor or an objective by you. Could be personal, professional, or family, or otherwise. But some of you have made a massive investment this year in terms of a car, a house, in terms of yourself, in terms of ultimately putting money or time or focus into your own goals, into your education, into your own well-being. And now it's time to prepare and plan for what's next, and even to start becoming more strategic. So the interesting thing now about the next couple of months, we've got the next 4 months, which is August, September, October, and November. December is a little different. We have a beautiful end to the year with the Sun card, but there's a little bit of a storyline. I wouldn't call it neat and tidy by any means yet. I'm still not sure about it totally, but I am picking up on this being the more challenging part of the year for you to overcome. I think you are necessarily prepared for it though, and planned accordingly, and of course you saw this all coming anyway. So you're not taken off guard by this, but at the same time, there is a quality of it not being related to what's happened this year. That's not to suggest like this comes out of the blue and it's really shocking. It's just something that doesn't have so much of an association with the first half of the year, or like the bulk of the year so far. Although, like I said, you saw this kind of coming. We've seen the Ten of Swords at the bottom of the deck. We've seen the Five of Cups at the bottom of the deck. So here they are now about to start playing out. So what I'm seeing is something requires your attention with a series of choices that have to be made. We have the Two of Pentacles and the Two of Wands. So events are underway, and now you have to, which I love, because you get to be empowered and make the decisions to kind of keep, when we're going up and up, to keep that momentum going for yourself. And you're like riding this lovely little wave. But the Sun card, perfect. You know what, we'll talk about the frequency of authenticity and how that's the highest frequency and currency for us on our new timelines, even more than love, even more even more than love. It's authenticity coming up in the new timelines for us, and we get there at the end of the year. You do. So let's just get into this little interesting few months ahead. Okay, so this is the month of August, and we've got the Ten of Swords, High Priestess. Oh my god, this is so fun. The tarot, it cracks me up sometimes. The High Priestess is pure intuition. So I told you, right? You know what this is. You've seen it coming, but it just wasn't your focus, and it wasn't like the avoidance, like I'll put that on the back burner. For some, there's a real sense of somebody being incredibly jealous by your success, your power, your magnanimity. magnanimity. And the High Priestess, you're like, I fucking knew this, but I didn't even want to deal with it. Not because I was avoiding it, because it was kind of like beneath you. Let's have a look at the Ten of Swords. But yeah, now you're just like, all right, you really kind of, in a sense, feel like you must kind of put an end to this, or you must just kind of like call it a day. There's the Six of Cups at the bottom of the deck. Check in with the kind of relationships where it's this ebb and flow relationship. It's the one that always kind of like, sometimes it's good and then you get a funny feeling and then you're like, oh, you know what, that's nothing but love. And then you're like, oh no, they're a hater. Okay, so let's look at the Ten of Swords for the month of August for Cancer. Something, basically all I'm saying here is the Ten of Swords, I don't usually read it this way. But it's all about like something requires your focus and attention and you just can't ignore it, try as you might. There's just no way. Ace of Cups at the bottom of the deck, we have it in February. Six of Cups at the bottom of the deck a moment ago, we have it in January. Something about all the fabulous, fun, happy relationships at the beginning of the year. Ew. Now something is taking a bit of a shift, 9 and 10 of Swords, where you are kind of like, oh, they are not who I thought they were. Not necessarily those people, but it's just by contrast, I suppose, to the people that are at the beginning of the year. There is somebody, maybe there's somebody who have been in your life for a shorter period of time. Maybe there's somebody that kind of like came into your life at a time when you felt a bit more defeated or in a headspace that was kind of not who you are now. And by that I mean like it was a version of yourself who still hadn't like kind of gone into a certain shadow work period, or you had more insecurity, or you just weren't treating yourself very well, and because of that your frequency set the bar, and like meets like, so you might I should say, so you might have attracted at a certain point some energy vampires or people that actually had the evil eye on you, Cancer. So you'll know who has the evil eye on you. You'll know when you share your success story of May and June specifically, and who will be there with you as you're riding this high tide at the beginning of the year. So once you pull your energy back, or maybe you stop enabling them, or maybe you stop supporting them financially, emotionally, or maybe you sort of draw kind of a boundary there in the Hermit card. And it's not like specifically targeting them necessarily. It might just be you coming back into yourself and like pulling back your energy. They don't like that. And so that's when you're going to really sort of see a little bit more of a nasty side to somebody, or just not even nasty. You might even see that they just completely, sometimes when our frequencies don't match anymore, nothing really needs to be done. You just won't see them as much anymore. You just won't be meeting up physically because the physical energetics are way too off. A great mantra that might be useful this year is the affirmative is important, not the kind of hope when we use a mantra. I am surrounded by trustworthy people. If you say that mantra every single day, you will dramatically notice who is no longer part of your auric field that we spoke of. So then you have a choice, you know, September, you have a choice. What are you going to do about this? Two of Pentacles. I do think it's about this. It might be a choice for something else. Too many cards there for moi. Are you in France or something? Like, I don't usually throw in French words randomly, but, or maybe you're going to a French speaking colony. Good old colony. Two of Pentacles. Either your choice is, what do I do about this hater person, or what do I do about something else? One way it's about a conflict that needs to be addressed, something that's building up. Five of Pentacles. Now we do have the Ace of Cups at the bottom of the deck again with the Temperance and the Sun card. Fear not during this trickier time, because it's all just about you making it. There is a purge here, so to speak, but it isn't one that like, it's like not a purge from your childhood or your conditioning or your compulsions or your deep shadow work. It's not that kind of a purge of like a habit or an addiction or something like that. it's in fact something that's quite recent. That's what I'm thinking. Like, I'm not thinking that this is like an entrenched cyclical karmic complex of yours that is going to be purged. And that's why I kind of said, like, it doesn't just come out of the blue, like it takes your ass by surprise. It's just that it's something that you're like, oh, okay. So that's actually a thing, like quite fresh and new. It's not like a long cyclical thing. It's somebody who's just come into your life recently, or it's somebody who doesn't have you just kind of, they're just there and you're like, oh, when did they come along, sort of a thing, or when did this situation come along? Anyway, at the back of it all, you're divinely protected and blessed as always and as usual. So I mean, come on, don't even worry about it. The Two of Pentacles and the Five of Wands, yeah, this needs your attention, because the tension needs your attention. It's just going to keep building. It's just going to keep getting like more complicated and rough and unenjoyable and tense and gross and egotistical, and you're going to be having the ego shower fights, and it's just going to get messy. So there's a bit of a mess for you to deal with, okay? August into September, and the choice is yours. How are you going to deal with this? The Five of Cups, you're going to be saying to somebody like, get out of my life, or you're going to be saying like, unfortunately, gotta cut my losses here, and this is sad. So there's a sort of period of like, I'm sad that didn't work out in September, the Five of Cups. That's a little bit more of a lull. We do have the Five of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. Five of Pentacles, Five of Cups, Five of Wands. The fives in tarot represent the most annoying number of the tarot. We have the Four of Cups, the Ten of Pentacles, which we've seen, of course, in the month of March with your big financial gains. At least as you're dealing with this more emotionally draining or fraught situation, the investments and things like that you've been making continue to rise and even kind of like return now again, or start to pay off even more and more. But I hear your focus is actually on matters of the heart. The Four of Cups, the Five of Cups, the Five of Pentacles. This is a letdown, Cancer. You know, this person was probably important, or this situation, this goal, this job, you cared about it, this way of life, this sort of plan, or this, I'm inclined to think it's something to do with an emotional connection, but it also could be something to do with accepting that you're going to be not completing that goal, or there is a bit of a loss in some way there. It takes it out of you in a sense, like where you kind of get in on yourself, or you're reminded of old hurts or kind of issues from the past. The Page of Cups and the Two of Pentacles. Well, we've got the Two of Pentacles, and I can't say you're the intuitive person this year for yourself. The Two of Pentacles was like, so what do I do about this? Honor this little Cancer person here, the baby Page of Cups, the baby water Cancer. Honor the inner teenager, honor the inner child. What would they have wanted to do about this, but perhaps didn't have the boundaries, perhaps didn't have the advocacy for themselves or have anyone advocating for them? What would they have done in a situation like that? That might be a line of thought to follow. But Four of Cups, Five of Cups, Five of Pentacles. It's an introverted time for you. This time it's kind of less by like your own choice. Not that you have a series of choices, and that's not what I'm trying to say. Is by the end of July, in this hermit mode, spirit or your intuition or the divine intelligence, whatever, God, higher power, everyone's so triggered by like the word angels and gods. It kind of creeps me out. Whatever it is, like get to the bottom of why that triggers you. That I'm just getting a bit salty. That leads you into this reflection anyway, before what's revealed is revealed. So you already knew that you were going on a period of reflection, and then as it happens, you were like, well, I was very much on the money to come into this sort of, like reflection sort of point. Four of Cups, Five of Cups, and it does take it out of you emotionally. It is draining, I would say. All right. And there is an eclipse happening in the 17th of September in the sign of Pisces. There is an eclipse in the sign of Libra, the final Libra eclipse in October, right at the beginning on the 2nd. So there's a real kind of definite end of a cycle coming up for Cancer. For us all, you know, eclipses are the best because they affect the entire collective at the same time. So they really just show where we're making like leaps and bounds collectively. Okay, now the energy fires up. So process what needs to be processed, the letting go, the death rebirth cycles emotionally, psychologically, the mourning, the hurt places, the weaknesses, the wounds. And that's just that portion, that small portion of the year. Now we're going to look at November and December together, which look to be really about moving towards the light again, moving towards, you know, a greater sense of authenticity without the hangers on, without the resentful folk or evil eye kind of vibe. Beautiful, the Fool card, the very first card of the deck. So this is after, you know, you've had the World card. I love to see when that happens in a journey, where we see the World card, you know, May, June. It's really that kind of end of an era. You've been successful, you've reached your goal and your target, and you get to reap the rewards, and then you have to deal with some messier stuff, no problem. But now in November and December, a very brand new chapter is emerging. That might be happening in your Pisces house or on the Pisces Virgo axis point, because the eclipse is a solar eclipse in the sign of Pisces on the 17th of September. Look to your Pisces chart for where a year and a half from September 2024 of new beginnings and new energy is infusing your world. Oh my God. Mwah. The Star card for the month of November, and I'll just pull another card for the Sun card. I love when the Sun and the Star come through side by side. It's like that photonic light that I talked about. Like, it's like the light that's flooding the earth, and you're part of the earth. And I know it sometimes sounds like that's not what's really happening, or it looks like that, but all the darkness that always existed now is been highlighted more and more because of the opposing frequency coming in. So your frequency is what you can control, Cancer, and that being maintained will really help you ride that wave of turbulence and continue to kind of ascend. Okay, let's look at the Sun card, and we'll close out this reading by looking at November and December together. Oh yeah. Oh my God, I'm so happy. The Empress, my favorite card. I'm so happy to see that for you. Pure abundance. The King of Cups is here too, which is just lovely. And the Eight of Wands at the bottom of the deck. It's just like fate is now working for you. The universe is just kind of like just going to I feel like you're just getting swept again. The wave energy, I haven't talked about a wave. Maybe it's because you are like cardinal water, this like rush of life, basically. And yeah, it's such a beautiful end of the year for you. And I know the start of the year looks great, but this is something that is so divine and happy and wonderful as well. So yeah, I mean, after those 10 of Swords, 9 of Swords and stuff and all of that, like, and after October being, pardon me, a little bit more challenging, the Star card is like, here is this sense of optimism, of faith restored, of hope, and of like rejuvenation. This is my longest reading, Cancer. I should wrap this up for you soon so you're not have the ear chewed off you, but the Two of Wands is like, this is your choice. Now, you always have the choice to align to a certain frequency and have the experiences and your outer reality match that inner dial, and to kind of keep riding higher over that turbulent period as well that's playing out in the background. But this is about the light coming in. Some of you might be like making the choice to step into your purposeful role as a light worker, which is going to be somebody who's going to help like expand humanity's consciousness by inviting others to sort of step into their purpose, their truth, their accessing like more of a light within themselves, that could be something that you're going to really thrive at. The Star card is a very healing energy, so this could be something about you stepping into the choice of becoming a healer, but you're making a choice in November. It might not even be just so like black and white either, but the choices that you're overall making are right, and they're bringing you forward towards a goal and a really special, great place. And the Star card is so healing, and after what's happened the months previous, it's sort of like a balming quality where it just sort of like allows you to restore yourself and get back to things that you needed to get to when you couldn't, when all this crap was happening, like, you know, your mind was elsewhere. The Empress and the Sun card, I mean, what a freaking blessing coming through for you at the end of the year. No matter what it is, grab it with both hands and really relish in it. The Empress card, you know, you thought you were relishing in May. The Empress card is like, honey, look, this is just going to blow you out of the water. This is going to be just so abundant. It's a big deal for you. And for some of you, you know, the Empress is at its essence, it's creative energy, it's love and it's gratitude. So if you combine that frequency of love with the frequency of authenticity, you're going to be kind of like that's the real top 1% of the world, I would say, this energy here. So it's just about embodying your truth, sharing who you truly are, and loving yourself so deeply. But because I said the Empress, it is like this kind of creative frequency too. So you could be birthing something very special or aligning yourself to the auric field of I'm ready to birth, I'm ready to grow, cultivate and expand in every single part of my life. Oh, what a gorgeous year ahead for you, Cancer. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you real soon. Bye.